The Kenpachi with the power to fight at the level of a Zero Squad captain, whose Bankai was so insane that it was banned by the Soul Society. Novel characters with insane abilities Part 1, Kenpachi Kuruyashiki.
ようこそ私のソウルソサエティへ。
仕方ないっすね。挽回、観音開き、紅姫改め。
When you think of Kenpachi Kuruyashiki, he's about as insane as a Kenpachi should be. On the other hand, he's one of those characters that you would absolutely fall in love with once you get to know him. He was an associate of Ashido Kano, the character who was cut from the manga because of time issues, for whom Kubo still made illustrations in the manga. Kuruyashiki was also a drinking buddy and close friend with characters like Shunsui, and under his leadership, Squad 11 was a well-organized military unit. He was so powerful that he could defend his title of Kenpachi for several hundred years. This is impressive because he would have to defeat all these potential Kenpachis in front of 200 guardsmen. And in case you don't know, as you will soon learn, he can't release his Bankai in the presence of others. In other words, for 200 years, he defeated every challenger without using Bankai. Kuruyashiki was known for cutting down Vassalore class hollows, the strength of his spiritual pressure causing their mass to shake. His spiritual pressure in base form was so high that even Asashiro didn't think he could pierce his skin with his Bankai. Again, this is Kuruyashiki's base form. In turn, Asashiro had to forcefully loosen Kuruyashiki's Ryatsu from within and attack his internal organs. His devastating Shikai could summon at least 13 monstrous creatures with nothing but gaping maws, which upon his command can consume everyone around him. One of the most insane things about his profile is that he was invited to join Zero Squad, and according to 13 Blades, his power was on the level of a Zero Squad captain. And this is more insane than you might imagine because the members of Squad Zero typically maximize their Shinigami potential. Being in the presence of the Ryo, their trainings and ceremonies are on the Soul King's level. A part of their ceremonies include flooding their bodies with insane levels of spiritual pressure and possessing incredible bones called Oken with nearly insurmountable defensive capabilities, with the power to blast through the 72 layers of barriers between the Soul Society and the Ryo-Q, whilst protecting the interdimensional travelers. According to Yuha, the greatest thing a Shinigami could have. So for Kuruyashiki to be at the level of a Zero Squad captain without any of the Oken bones or Ikifune's Ryatsu food, he must be an authentic freak of nature. Kuruyashiki's Bankai could summon a massive jaw from the ground with a radius of several spirit miles, large enough to swallow more than Karakura town, and as he is incapable of controlling his Bankai, it consumes everything, living and non-living, including his friends and foes. A Bankai with a similar level of danger to Shinji's Happo Fusagari. Central 46 even went through the trouble of banning Kuruyashiki's Bankai throughout Soul Society. Even Asashiro thought that Kuruyashiki could have probably won the fight if he released Bankai immediately. His Bankai is similar to Soifon's, which he should only use every 3 days. But for Kuruyashiki, after using Bankai, he can no longer access it or the Shikai for 6 months. Now if you consider the amount of Ryatsu Kuruyashiki possesses, and yet despite that his Bankai takes so much power that it cannot be summoned after 6 months, and the Shikai likewise, then his Bankai must be insanely powerful. It's essentially a sacrificial ability which uses up all of Kuruyashiki's power in that moment. Although not as intense, it reminds me of Ichigo's final Getsuga Tensho. This is the power of Kenpachi Kuruyashiki, the man who turned down Zero Division, so he could pass on the title of Kenpachi instead of being locked away in a separate dimension. The polls will be up again, so you can vote for novel character number 2. Cheers.